Something is approaching, Alvin. This is where it starts.
My God, you're dull.
Tuesday's embryonic idea. Wednesday could be climbing the charts.
Ah, look at that snow.
Hi, I'm Brian Hill. I'm the book writer of The Story of My Life.
And I'm Neil Bartram. I wrote the music and lyrics for The Story of My Life.
A light dusting of powder.
That's the ancient art of creation.
The perfect combination.
And here's where it begins.
Come on, let's go outside.
Great, we can do that.
Yeah.
Do you know any of that?
We'll make it up.
Okay.
Brian and I met as actors, actually. We were doing a production of Forever Plaid.
I was Frankie.
I was Sparky. And we met and we became really good friends.
The seeds of Story of My Life were planted around the time that we were doing that show.
It follows the story of these two men who were best friends from childhood through their lives together and their estrangement. Often with men, they're not as open. I feel like female friendships are exploited a lot in films and on stage because women, I don't know, traditionally seem to talk a lot, and so it's not unusual to see that. But men, there's like a tension there that was interesting for us to deal with, and so we got into that, and it started to crackle to life.
The friendship impulse of the show is very personal to us. We both had a number of friends when we were younger who really, really changed our lives. People in moments that we look back on and say, wow, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be doing this right now.
What seems like a relatively innocuous relationship in your life can somehow have profound implications, and little things that one person will say to you will send you off in a different direction in your life.
The play starts with one character telling the eulogy, or delivering the eulogy, or I should say writing the eulogy of the other character. And we use that context because we wanted to find a way that would force one of the actors to look back on the friendship, the 35-year friendship. How do you apologize to someone who's no longer there? How do you say to someone, you're responsible for who I am, when that person actually isn't in the room anymore?
We get very personal responses from people that say, I ran out of the theater and phoned my best friend that I haven't talked to in such a long time.
And like you said, it's something we did in our little offices and hoped it would turn into something, and it's moving people like crazy. We love that.
And then it went to Broadway. It was a dream process.
It was kind of a dream team too. I mean, there we were with Richard Maltby and these two amazing actors.
We had
it was
incredible
joy
experience
across the board.
We had like Richard Maltby telling me my songs were great, and I was like, but you're Richard Maltby. You're awesome. You're Richard Maltby. Anyway, it's great.
We've had a chance to see a number of productions since the Broadway production of The Story of My Life, and it's been really fascinating to see what other people bring to it. And
we kind of indicate in the materials what we did in New York, but definitely encourage people to do different things, and that's exciting to see how they represent those things.
We saw a production once where the guy playing Alvin found humor in lines that I didn't even know was there, and it was fascinating to look at it and say, oh my God, that's funny. I had no idea that was funny. Or that touched me in a very different way than the Broadway production did. Not in a good way, not in a bad way, but in a very, very different way.
It's intimate, and I think that can really work in any environment.
We find the show works really, really well, frankly. Two guys sitting at music stands doing the material, standing around a piano and doing the material. And it also worked amazingly well at the Booth Theater with an expansive set that went up into the flies. It can be nothing or it can be everything.
MTI, it's fantastic because they licensed the original orchestrations by Jonathan Tunick, which are delicious and gorgeous. I did a 3-piece orchestration, which is also cool. And we've even seen the show done with just piano, like just piano and two guys. Like, it doesn't get any simpler than that, and it can still be amazingly touching. I feel like still the core of it and the emotions and the real meat of it really gets through.
Musical theater and the arts, I think, are just necessary. I have very strong thoughts on that topic. It's at the core of who we are as human beings, and it has to happen. It simply has to happen.
I just can't imagine, life in high school for me if it hadn't been for the arts and theater. It's what got me through it.
Being able to put on shows, I was able to find people who felt the same as I did and thought the same as I did, and I suddenly felt like I belonged somewhere. It's so important.
Well, that's great. Wow. I think we've got plenty of great stuff.
Okay. Hack away. Use whatever you want to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
I'm glad we did this. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
When you flap your wings to stretch yourself, it might seem small to you, but you change the world.